50 days transformed by prayer.
Hi kids, back to tell you another short story. I've got a few things with me. You can probably see I've got a piece of paper in front of me. Now I've also got two things that are similar and different. Again, I have something that is metal, but it's got a pencil lead on it. You guys know that this is called a compass? I also have another compass, and I'd like you to see what the difference between these two compasses are. This compass, if you open it, it has a needle in it, and it will actually tell you which direction you're going. Great for when you're going on a hike in the woods. This compass, if you turn the wheel in the middle, the metal pointy end and the pencil lead get further apart or closer together, depending which way you do it. Now, what do you suppose this is for? This is made for making shapes, drawing shapes. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you by drawing one shape. If I take it, put it on my paper, and turn it around, it makes this, a perfect circle. Now what happens if I turn the center wheel a little more and do the exact same thing again? And again. And let's see if we can do it one more time. Now if I hold this up, what have I got? What does it look like? It looks like a bullseye. You know what a bullseye is used for? Bullseye is used for target practice. Sometimes if you're throwing darts, you'll try and aim for a bullseye. Or if you're shooting a bow and arrow, possibly a gun, maybe a ball, any of those things, you might use a bullseye target. Let me ask you, what would you be aiming for when you're aiming at the bullseye? I think you would right away say you want to aim at the center of the very smallest circle. Now what happens if you hit the outer circles? That means you're not too good a shot yet and you need a little more practice. So you keep practicing until your shots hit the middle of the bullseye. Now how does this compare to you? Well, Jesus wants us to aim for the center of the bullseye in our life. I have a verse here that kind of demonstrates that. It says in Matthew 7 verse 14, it says, "The gateway to life is very narrow and the road is difficult and only a few will ever find it." So this means we have to aim for that middle target. That means we got to spend time with Jesus in His Bible. We got to talk to Him. We got to meet with other people and talk to them about Jesus. And that way we can, as we're losing aim, we get better and better and closer to the middle of the circle. Now what happens when, hey, we're right on target with Jesus and we hit the middle of the circle? Does that mean we stop practice? Absolutely not. If you stop practice and you're shooting an arrow, you'll probably start to go back to the outer circles. The same thing happens in your life. So if you keep on target with Jesus, that means you got to practice every day. That's praying, that's talking to Jesus, that's reading the Bible, that's talking to your mom and dad. Keep that in mind and remember the Bible verse, Matthew 7, verse 14. We'll see you again, kids.
Prayer to me is a close friendship with God, and it's actually been a really important part of my life. Growing up, I didn't know God. I didn't start out in a very strong Christian family. We weren't going to church weekly. We would kind of go every once in a while. And I knew that there was somebody very important that created me, that supported me, but I didn't fully understand it. But as a child, I did pray. And I felt a connection there, actually. And even as we were praying this morning, I was really inspired to tell this story, so I'm going to share. It happened when I was a child. I was about 7 years old, and my mom and sister had to go to a doctor's appointment in a nearby city. So it was my dad and I that were home, and my dad owns his own business. So after I came home from school that day, I was supposed to walk to my dad's place of work, and we were going to go for supper. We were going to go for pizza together, and I was really excited about that, spending time with my dad, just the two of us, and of course pizza was our favorite thing to share. And it was early spring as well, and we lived at the very edge of the community where we lived there. But if I walked through the woods, I would be able to get to my dad's work without having to go through crossing many streets when I was so young. So I decided I would pack a snack for my dad because I thought he might be hungry just like I was. And I put actually a fruit roll-up in the sleeve of my jacket, down both my sleeves, and I don't know why I did that, but anyway. Put on my rubber boots because it was spring and it was wet outside, and I walked into the woods. And as I got to the woods, I could see there was quite a bit of water there. But as a young child with rubber boots on, I thought this was going to be fun. So I walked into the water, and it got deeper and deeper, but my rubber boots were tall, so I was not afraid. And I kept going, and the water got deeper. This was kind of a water runoff area that would go through the woods. And I didn't realize how deep it was going to get, and very quickly the water was just above my knees. My rubber boots were full. But as I was walking through this kind of miry mud, my foot sunk down and caught between some branches or the roots of a tree, and I became stuck. And also the suction of the mud pulled me down, and I was just too small to get my feet out. So I was in the middle of this woods by myself. It was kind of the end of the day, shorter days at that time too. But there was a house, a lady lived there, an older lady, and she had home care come bring her meals and things like that. And I was just standing there playing in the water as a small child, not even fully aware of the danger I was in with hypothermia and other things being a possibility. And the lady came out and she called out to me. I was wearing a very bright colored jacket, and she says, "Are you in trouble?" And I said, "Well, I'm stuck here, but I don't know how to get out." And so she actually called the police, and she called my dad as well. And the police showed up first, and he came into the water, and he actually pulled me out. He was soaked. He didn't have rubber boots on like I did. I felt bad. But he pulled me out, and he brought me out. And as he brought me out of there, my dad pulled up and of course gave me the big hug. But God was such a present force in that whole situation because, like I said, I wasn't thinking about hypothermia as a small child. You're not thinking about the cold water that you're in and how long I'd been there. If that lady hadn't seen me, my dad wouldn't have known I was there. He wouldn't have known where to look for me. And just all those things came together, and I just really knew without having a relationship with God at that time that God was already at work in my life and doing things. And I believe they're prayers of the heart, unspoken prayers that we have, and God's working in our lives without us even knowing.
50 days transformed by prayer.
A group of businessmen traveling by plane one day were suddenly gripped by fear when the aircraft depressurized and oxygen masks fell from the ceiling. As the pilot quickly maneuvered the plane into a safe position, the businessmen believed their end was nigh. In panic, one of them took off his mask and shouted, "Hey Jerry, didn't you go to church when you were little?" "Yep. Please pray now." "Don't be silly," Jerry shouted back at him. "The last time I prayed was 20 years ago." But his co-workers insisted that he pray right then. Okay, I'll try. So Jerry began his prayer. Lord, I haven't bothered you for the last 20 years. If you save us now, I promise not to bother you for the next 20. God is not bothered by our prayers. On the contrary, when His beloved children seek Him, He rejoices. Our prayers are like a sweet aroma before God. The Creator wants us to seek Him constantly because prayer is a crucial element in our spiritual lives. One of the indispensable aspects of communion with God is the process of transformation in each one of us. God wants to restore His own image in the human race. We were created in His image, but because of sin, we have been stained, warped, and disfigured from His original masterpiece at creation. When we seek God in prayer, we allow the power from on high to work in our lives. Thus, we grow more and more like Christ every day. The Apostle Paul wrote, "But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord." Prayer and transformation are inseparable. The fruit, the result of a life of prayer, is transformation. In fact, authentic transformation is based on prayer. As we humble ourselves and sincerely submit to God, He transforms us from within. Our feelings, thoughts, and desires will be molded by the transforming power of prayer. We will be able to say with the Apostle Paul, "Nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me." However, this transformation does not occur on the inside only. It is evidenced on the outside as well. Our words and actions will portray God's presence within us. Our relationships will be influenced and transformed. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. In summary, prayer leads to a life of constant renewal. In this journey called sanctification, prayer is one of the powerful tools used by God in the process of restoring the human race back to His own image. Do you want to see changes in your life, in your relationships, in your family? The power required for this transformation is available and nearer than you think. This power is a bent knee away, a bowed head, and uttered prayer. Do you want this transformation? Pray. Pray even now in the assurance that prayer is the key in the hand of faith to unlock heaven's storehouse, where are treasured the boundless resources of omnipotence.